Hello. Hi everyone. Today we're going to continue with a course on H3A cloud computing. In the last class, we mainly introduced the concept of traditional IT and how budgeting has changed our overall lives. Now, we'll focus on the challenges faced by traditional IT. Come, let me introduce it to you in detail. In the face of these challenges, how can we use cloud computing to break through? Well, let's take a look at it first. What is the current situation of traditional IT? It's that our internet is becoming more and more advanced. We are using more and more electronic devices in our daily lives. Cell phone, including computers and tablets. We are using these electronic devices more and more in our lives, and the amount of information we come into contact with is also increasing, right? The videos we watch, the music we listen to, the websites we visit, and the content of various apps are all growing, which means the amount of information is also increasing. With the development of the internet and mobile internet, in fact, the main problem of mobile internet is that if there is no mobile internet, there won't be so much information. It is because of the existence of mobile phones and the development of mobile internet, Diane, that more and more mid-range devices have been put into use, right? A large amount of data is generated every day. The amount of data is enormous. So, from computers to phones to various other IoT devices, the daily data volume has become quite overwhelming for traditional IT. Its processing capabilities are no longer sufficient, right? It's just not enough anymore. For example, in the past, we might have had a server with, say, tens of terabytes of space. Before, there weren't really any major issues because not many people were accessing the data. But now, mobile phones were right? Tablets. And now some of these, some small smartwatches, right? Nowadays, many watches can also access the internet. All of these are actually generating a huge amount of data. And for the traditional IT, in the field of IT, servers are actually no longer sufficient, right? They're just not enough anymore. Now, this includes traditional computers, like those running Windows or Linux systems, as well as our mobile devices. On the mobile side, we have Android and Apple. Finally, let's talk about this. With the latest IoT operating systems and various terminals, the amount of content is also increasing, and consequently, the amount of information is growing as well. Overall, the impact on us is quite significant. Traditional IT servers, right? Standalone servers, and some static resources can no longer handle these massive data requests. They are completely overwhelmed. We can say that. So, the challenges we face can mainly be divided into several aspects. So first, the issue is that the business goes online slowly. The challenges of traditional IT. This is actually the issue. Because for a traditional business, for example, what steps do we need to take to launch a new service? First of all, if it's a completely new business, what do we need? We need to purchase new servers. Yes, we need to purchase new servers. So purchasing hardware is the first step. After purchasing the servers, right? This includes specific components like the CPU, memory, and hard drives, which might also need to be bought separately. If we talk about this as a whole, if the servers you buy don't meet your needs, you can also replace some of the components, right? You can swap them out for different higher performance parts. The deployment, after installing the software and all the hardware, right? What's next? Next, we deploy the applications, right? We install our specific services, and then proceed with some business deployments and processing. So what's the timeline? Generally, it takes a few months. If you're quick, it still takes at least a month or two. Why? Because from the moment you start purchasing these products, right? After you buy the products, it takes time from placing the order to getting it into the data center, deploying it, and then debugging it. You can't just set it up and start using it right away, right? We also need some time for testing. So all of this actually takes time. This is a major issue with traditional business processes. So first, the business goes online slowly. And second, scaling is difficult. Why is scaling difficult? Actually, we talked about this in the storage course earlier, right? We covered this content. So when it comes to scaling, traditional servers, actually adding hard drives can definitely help with scaling, right? But your hard drive capacity is limited. What do you do after you've bought the hard drives? right? About including when encountering some business peak periods, such as during the Chinese New Year and other holidays, many websites and apps will launch some activities. So in this case, the number of visits to the website will definitely increase sharply. In this case, scaling, right? It's not just about the hard drives anymore. CPU and memory also need to be scaled, right? This kind of scaling can be quite a hassle. And then there's also the total cost of ownership, TCO, remains high. The cost of hardware procurement, including labor and electricity, are actually very high, along with our I/O bottlenecks. It is your data delay, because your data is being accessed by more and more users. There will definitely be some data delays, and your hard drives might not keep up. With those data delays, the user experience will decline, leading to various lags and stutters. And then there's the issue of insufficient reliability. What about reliability? It's the issue of single points of failure. When you deploy services, as we just mentioned, can you just set up one new server? No, you need to set up at least 2 or more. This way it prevents what? It prevents the issue of single points of failure. Right? These are actually all challenges faced by traditional IT. So how do we solve this? Next, let's simply take a look at what the key to breaking this deadlock is. It's all about our first, say, resource integration. The first point is resource integration. How do we integrate? In storage, we've talked about one thing, which is there's distributed storage, right? And there's virtualization storage. We can combine the storage together by integrating the storage from different servers. We can create a unified resource pool after virtualization. This way, we can use these resources uniformly and access them in a unified manner. This actually makes things more efficient, and scaling becomes much easier. This is the first point. Resource integration is very important. The second aspect is business collaboration. What do we mean by collaboration? It's about the sharing of data between different departments and the overall automation of processes. What does this include? For example, let's take the launch of a software application. For a software to be launched properly, and for users to use it, what do you need first? First, you need to develop it. After developing the software, you upload the code to our code repository. And then our operations and maintenance team will handle the deployment. During the deployment process, of course, we generally first deploy to a testing environment, customer first. Then the testing team conducts various tests on our software or not. Once everything is confirmed to be fine, it gets handed over to operations and maintenance for deployment to the actual production environment. This entire process of automation also needs to be optimized. This is the second issue regarding business collaboration. The third point is continuous optimization. In the past couple of years, AI has actually developed really fast, like extremely fast. Just 2 years ago, the AI I was using could only answer some simple questions. When it comes to a complex problem, it can be completely baffling. Nowadays, AI's deep thinking it's much smarter than 90% of human brains, and more useful than most people. We can use AI tools to adjust resources dynamically, increase capacity during peaks, maintain minimum during lows. How do we implement these solutions? I'll cover this later. This boils down to cloud services. In the course, we'll focus on these points, addressing traditional IT issues. You can just maintain a minimum operational configuration. These are actually some of the methods we use to solve these issues. Now, how do we implement these solutions? How do we use them? This is something I'll cover in the later parts of the course, but essentially, all of this boils down to our cloud services and cloud computing. So in the future, our course will mainly focus on these points and solve a problem in the traditional operation and maintenance of the traditional IT industry. After class, you can also share your thoughts in the discussion area. You can express your opinions on how to deal with these challenges. It doesn't matter. Fine. We will explain some of the contents of cloud computing in detail later. Okay, that's all for today. If you want to learn Huawei certification technology or want to obtain Huawei certification question bank, please send me a private message or leave more comments below the video for some technical exchanges. For example, this one today. How to face traditional challenges. Everyone can share their opinions. Alright, that's it for today. Everyone.